Hey there, folks. Welcome to day 5 of our writing process for personal narratives. So, today you can tell we are just focusing on drafting. This is the thing where you're actually going to write your story. This is what most of you think of as writing, anyways. We're going to go scene by scene. You're like, scene? What's the scene? You know, in your storyboard. So make sure you have your storyboard. You are going to need this today. In fact, right next to you is super helpful so that you can write each scene. Remember when we were drawing these, we were calling them scenes. And so today we are going to write each scene. And I'm going to help you with that by showing you what each scene actually needs. And so there are certain elements of a scene. Now, there are 4 things every scene you write must have. You must have characters, right? You're writing about somebody and even secondary characters, the people that are there with them. So every scene must have a character. Every scene must have a setting. Even if it's the same setting as before, your reader needs to know where they are. Where is this happening? So you need to make sure that you're including your setting. Now, you don't have to describe it every single time or rename it. They were in Simi Valley, California. You don't have to do that every time, but at least kind of set a little bit of a scene so that the reader knows where they are. You need action in your scene. That one's kind of easy. The character can't just sit there and do nothing, even though even that's an action. The character Joe sat there doing nothing. That actually is still action. He's sitting there. He's doing nothing. But you can't just say Joe. Joe was in a house. That's not a scene. You have to have some sort of action, obviously. And then details, right? And that could be details about the setting. Joe was sitting in his house. He was sitting on a nice brown couch. The leather was hot. It was sticking to his sweaty body. Have you ever felt that on summer? I don't know what made me think of that. That was kind of weird. Or it could be describing the details of the character. Joe was sitting on the nice brown couch and he was wearing his favorite T-shirt. It had a teapot on it. I don't know what in the world I'm. That is not a very good story at all. But it has to have details. Now, those are the 4 things you must have in every scene, and we're going to practice that today. There are some things you can have. There's also 4 things you can have in every scene, and in fact, you should try to include these every time, and it'll make your writing even stronger. You know how you have characters, in like you must have characters. Well, they should talk. They should have thoughts. That's what makes writing good, is making sure your characters have dialogue and thought. So you should include that. Joe was sitting on the brown couch in his favorite T-shirt, and his mom walked in. Hey, Mom. Hey, Joe. I wonder where she's been, Joe thought. That's dialogue and thoughts. See how, like, we've started with Joe was in a house? Wah, 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 boring. And we've just added these elements and we've made our story actually kind of good. I'm curious what's happening with Joe and his mom, right? We also need, or not need, but can have sound words. And you saw that in that book we read about the kid and his dog. And the barking and the baby wah wah and the vroom, woof, right? All these sound words, those just make it better. Those we use sparingly. Don't use those all that often, but if you really want to punch up a scene or make it strong, you can throw in a sound word. Nina will know what I'm talking about because she reads a lot of Geronimo Stilton, and that author includes sound words a lot. So let's go. Let's try it. Joe was sitting on the brown couch in his favorite T-shirt when his mom walked in. Hi, Mom. Hey, Joe. I wonder where she's been all this time. Whack! The door slammed. I should have said that when Joe's mom came in, but you see what I'm saying. Whack, or bang. Oh, that might even be better. Bang! Ouch! His mom cried. Joe ran into the kitchen to see what had happened. Wow, we're starting to build a pretty cool story, right? Tiny action. So remember above it, I said you must have action. Joe has to be doing something. Tiny action is when you're really slowing down to build suspense. These are the small things characters are doing, not Joe running into the kitchen. That's a big action. Um, Joe ran into the kitchen. What's something that would go along with what we're saying? He saw his mom holding her ankle. Um, I'm trying to think of a tiny action. Even her holding her ankle isn't all that small of an action. Let me add it earlier. Let me show you what I mean. Joe was sitting on the brown couch in his favorite t-shirt. He scratched his nose. Suddenly, his mom walked in. That scratched his nose is such a tiny action. What did it really do? It kind of delayed his mom suddenly walking in. Um, it it builds suspense a little bit. It keeps you in a scene for just a little bit longer. And there's sometimes that you want to do that right before an important part, include tiny action. Okay, that's when you can really slow it down for the reader so that you build that suspense. If you've ever read a book where you're like, I can't wait to get to the end, like you're super duper excited about it, find the most important part of that book and then go back to right before the most important part of the book, and I bet you will find a lot of tiny action. That's what authors do to build suspense. Check it out. I promise you, you'll find it. And the last thing, of course, is strong feelings. We had talked about details, and one way to include details is strong feelings of the character. So mom walks in, Joe's on the couch, on the brown couch in his favorite t-shirt. He scratches his nose. His mom walks in. Oh, hi, Mom. Hey, Joe. I wonder where she's been all this time, right? We're just building each of these things with each of our elements. I wonder where she's been. Bang! Ow! His mom yelled. Joe sprinted in the kitchen. His mom was holding her ankle. Here's tiny action. Joe rested his hand on the kitchen table. Mom, what happened? His mom started crying. Ow! My ankle hurts so bad. Strong feelings, right? So we started with Joe was in the house. And then just by adding each one of these elements, we've come up with quite a story. Well, let me actually practice just a little bit, and I won't take too long to do this. I'll just do one of my scenes. So here's my first scene. Remember, I have all of them here. You remember yesterday we did find the heart, and so there was the heart. But I'm going to go up to my first scene. I hit a good drive, and it sailed towards the trees. That was just my one sentence. That's actually the action. But now let's go ahead and build this scene. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some cool tricks, and let me show you how to do these in case you are doing it on a computer and you have digitized your storyboard. If you haven't, don't worry about it. In fact, if you want to do your storyboard like this and then just a sheet of paper, that's our old candy corn thing, and a sheet of paper, that's fine too. You don't have to do this on computer, but in case you do, let me show you a cool way you can do it. So I have made a new tab. I'm going to go docs.new, and that allows me to open up a Word doc, even though it's taking a super long time. And then I'm going to drag this tab out and make it smaller. And now it's a small little notepad. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to make it smaller, and I'm going to put it on this side, and I'm going to put this one on this side. I got too big, sorry. There we go. And I'm going to lose my face. Bye, face. It was nice having you. And now I have my scene over here, and I have my notepad or my writing over here. So I can't see for some reason. My goodness, what is going on? All right. Let's make sure we have characters, setting, action, and details. Okay. I arrived at the 16th tee box of Hansen Dam Golf Course just after my friend Anibal. Of course, he had a golf cart and I was walking, so no wonder he got there first. So the reason I did it that way is, I think I spelled Hansen wrong. I've included my setting, 16th tee box of Hansen Dam Golf Course. I've included characters, Anival and myself. And then, of course, he had a golf cart. I was walking kind of action, but I'll probably do a little bit more. In fact, let's go to action now. I pulled my driver out of my golf bag. There we go. There's some action. I was the first to tee off. I'm going to do some tiny action here. I don't have to, but I'm going to put some tiny action. In fact, I might put some dialogue right before that. Anival said, "You're up, Robin." And that way I don't even need the "I was the first to tee off" because Anival said that for me. So then I'm going to say, I'm going to go to a new paragraph. And let's say we'll hit tab to indent. In fact, up here we should have hit tab to indent. Tab, by the way, is on your keyboard. If you look down at your keyboard, it's right next to the Q on the left side. That's how you indent a new paragraph. I teed my golf ball up and stared down the fairway. I felt a tinge of nervousness as there was water all along the left side of the fairway. I think I spelled fairway. How do you spell fairway? Like that, maybe? I don't know. Who cares? Like I'm saying, spelling doesn't matter super much right now. I'm just, drafting. Now, I would keep going, showing you how I'm building those scenes, right? I have setting, I have characters, I've included dialogue, I've included action, I've even included tiny action. I could do more tiny action. I felt a twinge of nervousness as there was water all along the left side of the fairway. Let's do some tiny action. I took off my hat and wiped the sweat from my forehead with the back of my hand. Right? That's just tiny action. So I'm showing you all those different elements all in one scene. Now notice I have two paragraphs here. This is one drawing, one scene, and I turned it into two paragraphs. Now you might not have to turn all of yours into two paragraphs, but every drawing you have, every scene you have here is a different paragraph. So if you look at mine, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to have 7 paragraphs in my narrative. And remember, they don't have to be long. There's no limit. You must write 5 sentences per paragraph. There is no rule. There's no authority that says sentence paragraph authorities, the sentence paragraph police. No, they don't exist. You can have a paragraph. Remember yesterday when I did the heart of my story? I had a paragraph that was one word. Yeah, that was a paragraph. And then I moved on. So when I say the minimum is 7, gosh, mine's going to have probably more like 25. Because if I do dialogue like this, I'm going to have some paragraphs that are one word. Okay? So every single picture you have has to be at least one paragraph because it's a new scene. And let me show you how to do that just in case you forgot. I'm going to go nice and big again on this side. If I want to go to my next scene, let's pretend I was done with that. I'll just say I hit the ball. I'm going to make that much better. Here's how I go to my next scene. Remember, I'm up at the trees looking for the ball. I'm going to hit the enter button on my keyboard. If you look down at your keyboard right now, it's on the far right, enter, and that takes me to a new line. Now, because I've already tabbed, look at my cursor, it already indented for me. Isn't that beautiful? That's why I like typing. It already indented for me. If it didn't indent for some reason, let's pretend it was back there. I can indent by hitting that tab button. T-A-B, it's on the far left next to the Q. Hit the tab button. I searched everywhere. And of course, that's not, I would make that much, much better. I would include setting again. I would include characters. I would include action, so on and so forth. Those are the elements of a scene, Everyone must have these four: characters, setting, action, details, and then they can have dialogue or thoughts, sound words, tiny action, and strong feelings. All right. Today is the drafting day. Take your time with this one. We are going to do this for the rest of the week, probably 2 more days, 3 more days of drafting, because, like I said, every single scene that you've drawn needs a paragraph. And think back to our descriptive paragraphs. We took a day to write each descriptive paragraph. So that is what we are doing the rest of the week. Now, if you finish yours all today, then you're going to start a new one. Every day you should be writing. So if you finish it today, well, then great. You're going to go back to your writing, your narrative writing ideas, your seed ideas, and you're going to pick a new idea and write another one. All right.